Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today in this video we are going to learn how to cut and sew this beautiful butterfly dress. And I have here with me my tape, my ruler and my very tiny chalk. Today I'm going to make use of this Duchess fabric and it's actually small. So I have here 2 yards and a half yard. I bought the 2 yards initially to sew it up, but I changed my mind, so I went back and I got the half yard. Alright, let's start. The first thing I'm going to do is to measure 1 inch at the edge of the fabric, then use my ruler to connect all the points together. It's from this line that I will take all my vertical measurements and also add seam allowance at the shoulder from that point. Okay, now that I'm done with that, let me start taking the vertical measurement. So the first one I will take is my armhole line. So I'm using 9 inches for my armhole line. Now after that, I'll connect the points with a straight line. From the top line, I'll go ahead and measure my waistline, which is also the half length. So my measurement is 17 inches. Then I'll go ahead and take the same measurement across the fabric and then connect the points together with a straight line. Next is to mark the hip line. Measure from the waist downwards. Mine, I'm making use of 9 inches. After that, next is to measure the full length of the gown. The full length I'm making use of is 40 inches. I'll subtract 5 inches from the 40 inches, so remaining 35 inches, that's what I'm marking. The 5 inches is for the full length of the pleats. Next, mark half of your shoulder length. My shoulder length is 16 inches and half of it is 8 inches. So I went ahead and marked it, then use my ruler to connect the line. For the neck, I marked 3.5 inches horizontally and then vertically I marked 4 inches. Let's go down to the waist and mark quarter of the waist measurement. My waist is 30 inches and a quarter of it is 7.5, so I went ahead and I marked it. For my hips, my measurement is 42 inches, quarter of it is 10.5. And now on the hemline, I'm going to mark 10.5 inches that I marked on the hip. Then I'll add an extra 1.25 inches. After that, I'll use my ruler and connect the points together, but I'll stop at the waist because I just noticed that I didn't mark my bust point. So my bust point is 10.5 inches. Then after that, I'll just mark it and connect it to the rest of the. Next is to mark the quarter of the bust measurement. My bust measurement is 38 inches, quarter of it is 9.5, so I'll mark it. Next is to mark the full length of the sleeve. The length I want for the sleeve is 18 inches, and since there's pleats at the sleeve as well, I'll minus 5 inches from there, making it 13, so I'm marking 13 inches here. And I'll go ahead and mark the 13 inches on the armhole line as well. Now let me connect the points with a straight line. Oh, this line is not straight. Then I'll also extend the armhole line. From where that sleeve ends, I want to measure there. It's 2 inches, so I'm going down to measure it as well. I just want to have a straight line. Okay, these points are just made nanny just to help me to connect the hem upwards to the sleeve with a curved line. So you can just do your own however you want. It's not really a standard. Next, I'll add 1 inch ease on all these measurements. I want to slant the sleeve down a bit, so I measured 1 inch and I'm connecting it to the shoulder from that point. Alright, let's cut it out. I'm adding half an inch seam allowance all around. Alright, now I'm done cutting the front. So from that line, I'll sew it all the way down, joining the front and the back, the wrong side facing each other. As you can see, I've placed the front on the rest of the fabric to cut the back. And now I'm adding 1 inch from down all the way to the top for the zipper allowance. Now I'm using my roller to connect all the points with a straight line. At the center back on the waistline, I'm going to give it a curve because I will add zipper there and I need it to relax. So I'll measure in 0.75 inch. And from that point, I'll measure down 6 inches and connect the points together. So after here, I'll just move upwards and go to the shoulder. I'll also do the same thing there, but it's just going to be a slight difference. So from top of the shoulder to the armhole, I will divide it by 2 and mark the point. This point I'm marking, I'm going to use my ruler and connect it down to the waist. Next is to measure the neck depth for the back piece. So I measured 1.5 inch and I'll go ahead and curve it. Now we are almost done with the back, so the next thing will be to start cutting it out. Now I'm going to mark a new zipper allowance following that curve at the waist. That line where I will sew to join the front and the back piece, I want to mark the point on the other side of the cloth so that I can see it while sewing it. Remember, I'll add pleats on the sleeve all the way down to the hem, just around the whole dress, both front and back. So I'm marking a total of 6.5 inches, 5 inches for the full length and ½ inch for the seam allowance, with 1 inch for folding it. And the pleats are just going to be very tiny, not really large. Alright, I'll just go ahead and fold the hem. Okay, so now I've finished folding the hem and this is what it looks like. Next I'll sew the pleats on all of them, very tiny pleats. So here it is, I'm done with sewing the pleats and it's not really looking as full as I wanted because I'm already running short of fabric. So I have here the back piece and the next thing I'm going to do is sew this bias around the neck. So I made this bias out of this fabric using a bias tape maker. So this is how I'm going to sew it in on the neck. But remember that I added half an inch seam allowance on the neck, but I have to cut it off to be able to sew in the bias. So let me just cut it off right now. After cutting off the half an inch seam allowance, I'll take it to the sewing machine to sew in the bias on the neck. Alright, here it is, I've sewn in the bias and it's looking very neat. And I also went ahead and did the same thing for the other part. Now, so this is the two of them placed side by side to each other. And for the front piece, I also go ahead and cut off the half inch seam allowance from the neck and also sew in the bias on it. Here is the bias tape maker that I used in making this bias. And here it is. I've finished attaching it and this is what it looks like. Alright, so here's the back piece and it's time to attach the zipper, and I'm using an invisible zipper. Remember I added 1 inch zipper allowance. From the bottom of the zipper, I will sew it and stop at that mark I made before attaching the zipper. Here it is and I'm done with it. It's looking very neat. Here's the back piece all spread out, so I want to start attaching the pleats all over. Alright, I'll start attaching it from the sleeve all the way to the hem, all round to the other side. And I'll do the same thing for the front as well. Here it is, I've finished sewing it, but I want to make an adjustment on the waist. Remember I added 1 inch allowance all over, so I want to take out the 1 inch allowance I added on the waist. And since my waist is 30 inches divided by 4, which is 7.5, so I just measure 7.5 and we connect it to the waist and to the bust. Alright, I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other side as well. Alright, here's the front piece and the back piece, wrong sides facing each other, so I will join both of them at the shoulder. We're almost done. Next is to join both the front and the back, already facing wrong side to each other, so at that mark I made, I'll sew them together. Alright, I've joined them both and this is what it looks like, so it's finally ready and I can't wait to wear it. One more thing, I reduced the full length of the gown from 40 to 37 because I felt like it was too long.